Hello, my name is Sonika Tyagi. Yara Libraries has invited me to speak on the topic of becoming a coding family. I work at Monash University as a scientist and as a teacher, and I'm a mother of two children. And I would like to share some insights with you today on becoming a coding family, teaching yourself or someone in your family coding skills. As a parent, I obviously have vested interest in teaching my children STEM and coding skills. And I believe that in today's time, this is important for all families to learn these skills. And I'm going to share some of those experiences that I have had and also some tips and tricks. Before I begin, on behalf of Yara City Council, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, which we call Yara today, and I would like to pay my respect to their elder, past, present, and future. A bit about myself. What do I do at Monash? I and my team, we look at data generated from biological samples. This data is large and complex, and we cannot handle it manually. So we need computers to look at this data, and we analyze this data, find some patterns, and find some new information from the data. So one example could be that we have data from some healthy individual and data from patients, someone having a disease, and we are looking for comparison. So we will compare those data from a healthy individual and the disease sample, and try and pinpoint some differences that are associated with the disease condition. So once we have confirmed that next step would be to design some treatments to either fix this change or reverse this change. And eventually such treatments will be then translated into something that are into treatments and therapies that are doctors and clinicians can prescribe for the disease condition. And another example I can relate to today's COVID situation, where people like me are helping analyze this data that were generated from sequencing viruses, looking at how this virus is evolving, helping analyze their gene and protein sequences to design effective vaccines. So in all, coding is very central to what I do. And I develop computational and artificial intelligence-based application to answer some biological questions. So coming back to the topic of coding and technology. Technology is all around us. It's part of our daily lives, be it use of smartphone, fitness tracker, Siri, Alexa, all the things that we're using, these are based on some computer program and that are built into artificial intelligence or AI applications. And another example could be Netflix, that keeps on giving you suggestion based on the pattern, which movies you've been watching in the past, and then this AI-based application can give you some new suggestions. Similarly, you'll get some customized advertisements coming up on your social media accounts. To the other spectrum is the use of these computer programs and technology is to predict cyclones or earthquakes, and even prioritizing resource allocation when responding to an emergency. And you can make those predictions where is the most impact and where our resources should be most optimally utilized. Now, these are all the good things about the technology, but as parent, we are also looking at one downside of the technology, where we see our children being addicted to, let's say, using internet or using handheld devices. And there are examples of students or children developing this anxiety or negative feelings about themselves, being on social media, and so on and so forth. So our first reaction would be to, take away the technology from them, or, banning technology, and some, drastic solutions like that. But in my opinion, what I would suggest is to, instead of banning technology, we make them friends with technology in a way that they are this digital technology literate. So we educate them more and make them understand, make them part of, making this technology developing, and making new suggestions and be part of the solution. So one way to do that is to teach them coding. So coding is a great way to teach children about technology, because all these, smart applications that I mentioned, they all are based on, those are all based on, some sort of computer program, some sort of application running in the background. So how about looking at that, back and going into the black box and looking at, what is the code, what is happening in the deep into this technology. And developing these skills will also give more independence and confidence in the learning process of the technology. And in addition to that, learning these skills are also becoming a requirement for future jobs. Even in today's time, 60 to 80% jobs require you to know some sort of, computational skills, and it's going to become more and more common that these skills are in demand. So it's about time that such digital literacy is also part of our education curriculum. And some countries like US and UK are already, taking lead in that aspect. So, so what would be the, what could be the coding interest for children? They can be, they may be interested in creating games, programming music, designing websites, or generating some information, some visuals from data analysis and data processing, or just, playing around with the code just out of curiosity. So what is this coding all about that we are talking about? So coding, by definition, is telling your computer or what to do, giving it step-by-step command or instructions and to get a job done. And what do you require to learn coding? First of all, don't need to be, particularly techie or, really good at maths or those quantitative skills to learn coding. The other thing is, it's a hands-on skill. Okay, so you can't learn coding just by reading books. You'll have to get your hands dirty and really try it yourself to learn it. But it's a skill and it can be learned. It just requires lots and lots of practice, and more practice you do, better you become at it. So it's like learning a new language. So for example, if I want to learn French, I'll start somewhere and then I have to just, practice more of those, vocabulary, start to make sentence and start having conversations. So gradually I'll build up both my vocabulary and grammar and my skills in speaking in a different language. So it's like that, learning coding or computer programming is a skill that can be developed with practice. And when you are developing codes, it's about problem solving also. You have you have a task to do, and you will have to see how to develop a solution to perform that task, and develop computational thinking, which is about just breaking down a problem into smaller chunks and solving each chunks, and then in the end having a procedure, step-by-step procedure to solve that problem. So where to begin? So you can, start teaching coding to your children really at a young age. So starting from primary school. And even before that, you can bring some, logical play cards, some board games into your life, and playing those and developing problem solving skills and developing logical thinkings. Now, There are a number of coding games applications that are available to install on your iPad and an iPhone. And these are really visual language based application to teach coding. You have click or point or drag and drop, mix and collaborate to learn computational thinking. There are some examples that I have listed here, like Beeboat, Lightboat, Cargoboat, and so on. There are these applications available, and these are suitable for primary, from kinder to primary school children. After a certain age, children would like to see more challenges, and they have developed this idea of designing procedures, doing step-by-step problem solving, and developing a code using these visual apps. And now would be the time that you can introduce a real-world programming language to these children, where they will have to actually write the code themselves instead of selecting things from an app or dragging, dropping some instructions. Now they will have to write it by themselves, and it will be done in a particular programming language. And as human languages, there is a let's talk about English. So you have different alphabets, you have grammatical rules, and then you will write words and in a grammatical form, and then your brain will be able to interpret the meaning if it's written correctly in a grammatical sense. Similarly, for learning a computer programming language, you'll have to learn its alphabets and its grammar and sentence formation. So 2 examples that I have given here of computer programming language are R and Python. And you will, in each of these programming, you will learn how to write a computer programming code or syntax. So syntax is another name of language in computer programming terms. I've listed some resources that are available for coding apps for children, and especially from this code.org. These are 5 games that I can recommend when you are just starting out. And even in each of those games, there are activities of different level of complexities that children can gradually progress through. And there are many more games that are coming out, and nearly all of them have at least one free option, but some may be on subscription basis later on. And now coming to the actual writing code. So introducing R coding here. R programming was developed for statistical programming. So it was starting from acting as a calculator to writing some code to do some statistics or data processing. And it was developed at the University of Auckland in New Zealand by Rose and Robert, and it gets its name from their first initial. And it's becoming very popular. These big companies are using R for data analysis and data science, and even in research, R is very popular language to use. And it's popular because it's free. It's portable. It can be downloaded and installed on any of the operating system, whether you have Windows or Linux or a Mac computer. It can be used on any of those. And there are a number of free packages available that for performing a special task that you can just download and install. So it's like when you install R for the first time, it comes as a new phone. So it has some inbuilt applications in it already, but then you will have to install some specialized applications that you need from its app store. So similarly for R, when you install, it's a basic installation, and then you will install some specialized packages. So these packages are equivalent to apps on a phone. And again, there are heaps of, there are thousands of packages that are available. Let's say you want a package to generate some plots from data, or you want a package to draw a map, or you want a package to, let's say, produce music. So all of that you can do. You can just look for this special package and install and do coding for that. The other thing is there are free books and tutorials available. There is this book by Hedley Wickham called R for Data Science. It's completely free and open source book. There are video tutorials available, the one I have listed here. There's also a whole education page from RStudio. RStudio is a company that developed this RStudio software to make the R programming learning experience much more easier, because they developed this graphical interface called IDE, and it's the software name is RStudio, and you can run R programming through this interface. They also have a number of education tutorials available that you can go through and you can learn at your own pace. There's also in our community here where you can actually meet real people and learn from them. So it's a community of practice where these people come from, even though it's called Our Ladies, there are people from all walks of life and very, very diverse group. And these people may be scientists working in sports or economics or bank or any field where that deals with some form of digital data. They organize regular events, and there are some hands-on workshops or just lectures, or you just meet and greet, and there's a picture of from our Christmas celebration a few years ago. And if you are interested in becoming part of this community, it's open for anyone to join in Melbourne. And this is actually a global organization called Our Ladies, and then different cities and countries have different chapters of it. And so Our Ladies itself they have their YouTube channel. They have some open source material that you can access and learn at your own pace. And then this is the link from the RStudio education portal that I was talking about. And there's another group like Our Ladies also called Girls Who Code, and they also have heaps of material for both school children and more complex material to cater to various learners' needs. Okay, so from my own experience, these are the tips that I can share. Is that start from very, very basic. See where where your child can begin. Whether they already have some idea of designing some procedures to solve a problem, or so accordingly you may want to begin with some just games or actual coding apps, or going into writing the code. And if you're a professional like me who actually teaches coding I teach coding to students at undergrad and master's level, and it'll be very hard to resist, not to explain, really high-end stuff and going really deep into the computer science aspect or the software engineering aspect. So when you're teaching your children, they're really new, and they're learning a lot of new things about coding. So maybe just try and keep it to very basic in the beginning and simple, and slowly build up on that to explain more complex concepts later. The other thing is let them write their own code. Sometimes there can be more than one solution for a problem. Maybe you are coming up with a solution that's more optimum. You can only write that in like few lines of code, and your child is writing like one whole page of code to solve the same problem. It's okay. Let them come up with their own solution. And so patience is the key here. And yeah, also listen to the feedback. I'm going to show you an example of a graphics that my 8-year-old produced. So we had a book where we're looking at percentage of genes between different living organisms. So she plotted mustard here, fruit flies, zebrafish, mouse, chimpanzee, rhesus monkey, chimpanzee, and a ballerina for human being. And she also plotted rock here to show 0% similarity because it's non-living. And I really liked, how she came up with these, idea of drawing, different figures or these patterns to show, which is like visually obvious what each of these bar represent. Pretty much obvious. So I was really amazed that she came up with this idea because I wouldn't have thought of it this way. So basically, let their creativity flourish. And yeah, our next challenge would be to actually write a code to generate a plot like that. Right. So with that, I wish you good luck to be a coding family, and most importantly, have fun and while learning some new skills. Thank you very much.